Nano Machine. Bai, Ang Hongweolja. Chapter 124. The Sixth Test, Part 1. It was okay until he drank it. But the terrible taste that choked him even made Hu Bong almost pass out. It was a taste that even Yoan almost vomited when he drank it, so it was natural. GGGGRRRRGG. Hu Bong looked like he was in so much pain that he even had sticky-looking bubbles over his mouth. Do I really need to drink this? He looks like he'll die, eh? And with Hu Bong's first try of the liquid, every member became more hesitant. It was only after when they saw Hu Bong wake up after having all of his toxic elements being extracted out of his skin and increased flow of his energy that people started drinking it. Prince, I'm really thankful, but I'll pass on this. Master, I don't think I can, ugh. Mun Ku and Ho Sanghua refused to drink as they got sick from various parts of the liquid. Everyone who drank the black liquid had fallen from the terrifying taste, that it was natural for anyone to refuse to drink it. Prince, I can't do it. You know that. Oh. If extracts were to come out from the skin, then Mun Ku's mask might come off so she couldn't drink in front of everyone. Yoan then gave up on trying to offer it to Mun Ku after that. So, it came down to only the female cadets who had not drunk the liquid. After the busy night, Yoan woke up early the next morning and went to the blacksmith north of the academy. It was to ask about the process of the dragon serpent's horn. Thick snow fell overnight and the entire academy had been covered in white, but the blacksmith's roof was the only place without any snow over it due to the heat from the forge. Master Chun, where did you get this from? Blacksmith Oh Sunong was shocked to see a white club. It was something he had never seen it, and the density was much stronger than any iron. He had struck it down with various weapons inside the blacksmith to test it, but all weapons had been destroyed while doing it. I got it from somewhere. I can't tell you where. Yoan did not reveal the location of where he found it. He figured he didn't need to let Oh Sunong know of his finding from the Demon Seal Cave and cause more issues. And for Oh Sunong, he didn't really care where it came from anyway. With such material, I can make the best weapon possible. He was more excited than when he got hands on the cold steel. A master craftsman like him would be happy to see such good material. Sunong promised Yoan to make him a weapon out of this. So, you want a blade out of this? Yes, please. Ha ha ha. Okay. I will make the best blade I can with this. He was curious as to what kind of blade could be created with the horn of a dragon serpent. He thought about asking for a sword, but he had the black sword already, so there was no need for it. Oh, and you will be given cold steel. Will you make a sword with it? Didn't you said I could get only one weapon made? No, you are a master now. Masters can receive any weapon they please, but the cult only provides cold steel enough to create one weapon. So, if you bring yourself any materials, then you are free to request to create another. Just like how you did this time. Sunong pointed at the horn. He said he could create more weapons if Yoan brought more materials. Oh, good. Then please make me a sword. Yoan wanted to hide the existence of the black sword, so it was good to have a replacement for now. He had to keep it secret until he found out why the sword had the engraving that said Sky Demon Sword on it. Yoan became happy that he was going to receive 2 unique weapons from him and asked, how long will it take to create these weapons? Well, with such materials, I will need about 2 months. What? Will it take that long? That was longer than he expected. Creating his first blade took 2 weeks, so this was 4 times that. Yoan thought about taking the 6th test when his weapons were finished, so if it took 2 months to create them, then he had to postpone taking the 6th test. Well, it will take that long if I am to create both sword and blade. Or will you come each time when each weapon is completed? Oh. So, it takes only a month to create one then? Haha, so you must be in a hurry. Yes. Which one do you want first? Yoan thought about it for a second and chose the blade. He had the black sword even if it was a secret, so he chose the blade as he was curious as to what kind of weapon would be created from the horn of the dragon serpent. Haha. I will have it prepared in a month. Look forward to it, Master Chun. Thank you, sir. Yoan then left the blacksmith and walked north. And what's left is to. He was now on the way to the main building to choose the time and who he will fight for the 6th test. The 12 elders of the cult were busy with different jobs inside the cult, so the academy needed to notify them ahead to set the time. Yoan thought about it for the entire night and finally had chosen who to fight. About 15 minutes later, at the office of the chief of the demonic academy, Li Hamming was looking at Yoan weirdly. It was because of the person Yoan had appointed to fight for his 6th test. Unlike Hamming's expectation of Yoan using few more days to think about it, he had come back in just one day and chose someone very unexpected. Master Chen, are you sure about the choice? Yes, sir. Please. There was a reason for Li Hamming's reaction. Chapter 125. The Sixth Test, Part 2. This isn't just being reckless. Yoan chose the leader of Wise Clan, First Elder Mu Jinwan. Aside from the Lord himself, Mu Jinwan was one of the top 2 warriors along with the great guardian Mara Kim. Mu Jinwan had not fought against the Lord as of yet, but there was no one who had defeated Mu Jinwan until now, and Yoan had chosen him to fight, which made Hamming frown. Is he out of his mind? This was the worst choice one could ever make. Whatever his thinking was, it seemed it was impossible. Yoan just had become a superior warrior, so there was no way for him to fight against Mu Jinwan who had hit the end stage of the superior level tens of years ago. This was due to warriors who guarded the library not needing to report to the chief immediately as they had to stand guard at the library at all times. Li Hamming did not know that Yoan had reached the end superior level yet. So, he is not aware of my power then. This was also partly because Yoan had hid his energy intentionally. After reaching the end stage of the superior level, Yoan was able to control his inner energy completely and set the energy almost equal to when he entered the academy years ago. He realized that it was better to hide his energy than to show it off. He had gotten so powerful that Li Hamming couldn't even see through it. Master Chen, are you really sure? I will not ask again. Yes, please. Wise Clan, the strongest clan of all 6 clans. Yoan thought about choosing Poison or Loyal Clan as he had the most problems with them from a long time ago, but he had changed his mind as he thought it was best to tackle the most dangerous enemy first. Other elders were also dangerous, but if he can terminate the most powerful warrior Mu Jinwan in a fair duel, then it was sure to take the Wise Clan's power away. He gives me no choice. Hamming shook his head. He thought Yoan had grown rational, but he seemed still reckless. Yoan would want this too, but if the duel begins, it was likely for Mu Jinwan to try to kill Yoan too, as Yoan was the #1 risk for Chen Muyin to rise to power. Li Hamming couldn't force Yoan to change his decision, as that would be too personal from here on. Okay. I will send words to the Wise Clan. And 10 days had passed after Yoan had chosen the elder to fight against. Between that time, Left Guardian Li Hamming had notified Mu Jinwan with an official letter with seal of the Lord about the 6th test. First Elder Mu Jinwan accepted the request at once. There was no reason for Mu Jinwan to not take the chance to kill the only risk for his grandson to become the future lord. But things didn't work out as plans in the world. On the 10th day, ambassador from the Yulan clan came to the castle of the demonic cult. Cadets from the academy could not know what was going on outside, but this news made the entire cult to become shocked. The ambassador returned exactly on the 3rd day. This brought change. 7 days before the day of the 6th test, instructors came over and called Yoan up to the chief's office. Yoan, who was training in the training room, went to the chief's office without knowing why he was being summoned. Greetings, chief. Yoan got into the office and bowed. Hamming then placed down documents on the desk and spoke to him. You're here. I heard you summon me. Yoan became curious as Li Hamming frowned. It seemed there had been a problem. Is there something wrong? I'm sorry, Master Chen. We have to change the person you will fight for the 6th test. Pardon? Yoan frowned at the unexpected turn of events. He already heard that the first elder had changed his schedule for the test. It was shocked to hear that there will be a change. Yoan asked. Why is that? Did first elder change his mind? 6th test allowed cadets to choose who to fight, but elders also had the right to refuse to accept the request. But it was a matter of honor and pride, so there was no instance where an elder refused. No, that is not the case. Then, what's going on? Yoan asked, and Hamming hesitated for a bit and sent out energy to cut out the entire office from the outside so the sound would not go out. It seemed like what he was going to say was a secret. It is classified information, so I can't tell you about the details. There are only 4 elders at the cult right now. 4? You have to choose between those 4. Yoan was a master rank, but he was still a cadet. Any details were classified, so Yoan was not allowed to know about it. This made the entire plan to fail, so Yoan frowned. He couldn't say he will wait until first elder returned since there wasn't much time left at the academy anymore. He had to choose someone. Who's left then? There are the 9th to 12th elders. This meant every high-ranking elder was out. As far as Yoan knew, the 6 clan's elders were from the 1st to 6th elders, so this meant that he was not allowed to fight any of those elders. Li Hamming of course knew what Yoan wanted. I don't want to suggest this, but it was obvious who Yoan will want to choose to fight, so Hamming decided to let him know anyway. There has been a change to the ranks between elders recently. Change? What is that? Clan leader Beck from the Poison clan was demoted to the 12th elder. Becco, the monster Poison. He had become elder again 3 months ago, but he was no longer the 6th elder. And due to it, he was now the only elder from the 6 clans that left within the cult right now. Poison clan. Yoan, who was disappointed that he won't be able to fight any of 6 clan elders, turned to smile. The answer was already chosen. I will fight the 12th elder. Chapter 126. The 6th Test, Part 3. 6 days before the 6th test, at the office of the clan leader for the Poison clan, located at the mansion of the Poison clan, located at the west of the demonic cult's castle. There were many leaders of the Poison clan gathered here, but they all looked grim. This was due to the request came at morning from the demonic academy about the 6th test. No one had expected the situation to turn out like this. When the other 5 clans heard about Chen Yoan's challenge, all the 6 clans' problems had challenged First Elder Mu Jinwan, they were glad. The Wise clan had grown much more powerful during these 3 years when the Poison and Sword clans had become much weaker. We hope the Wise clan will be pressured from the result. For now, Chen Yoan was like a sweet poison. For Mu Jinwan, he had to kill Chen Yoan in the duel to allow his grandson to be only remaining candidate to the throne. But from what happened until now, this event was sure to give the Lord a chance to put down the Wise clan, so this was a win-win for the other clans. Elder, you need to refuse this request. You were freed from prison only months ago. Lord's eye is still on us. Advisor of the Poison clan spoke to Becco. It was different from when people insisted they should send an assassin to kill Chen Yoan. Things were different now. My thought stands. If we become more oppressed, it might destroy the balance of power between the 6 clans. Beck Chow, former leader of the clan, also agreed with the idea. The Poison clan was weakened so much that the other high-ranking clans like the Demon Dragon clan or others could even try to overthrow them. But if we refuse, then we are announcing to everyone that we have become weakened. Second son of Becco, Beck Munwang shouted. He was the aggressive type and did not want his clan to be belittled anymore. We have to patient. Being reckless won't help us at such a moment. Beck Munwang, however, wasn't so happy to hear that. Our cousin is still on bed and our clan is at such a state. What more do we have to wait for? He pointed at a small building across the yard where Chen Jongsum was at. With the internal energy destroyed and all of his bones shattered, Chen Jongsum even had his spinal cord destroyed that he couldn't even move from his bed. All he could do was just live. Muwang is right. The boy is already a superior level warrior. It is better to get rid of him now than later. It will be too late if we let him be, especially when we all know our relationship toward him. Becco's third son, Beck Munho, spoke with reasonable idea. It was hard to imagine what Yoan will become if he was already at the superior level. And from what Beck-o had to suffer, and going back to the death of Lady Hua, Yoan and the Poison clan were tied with bad omens. That's a problem for every clan. Even if the boy became powerful, he does not have the forces to back him up with. Is he a threat? No. The threat is the Lord. Beck Chow spoke to object Beck Munho's idea. Only good thing to come from killing Yoan was that they killed a possible future enemy. But the price was to be cast out from the Lord and be pushed out from the 6 clans. You all are idiots. Who are you to say that? People divided into 2 groups in ideas and began to shout in argument. Beck-o, who had been listening to them for a long time, had chosen what to do after a long thought. Stop. I will refuse this request. He too wanted to kill Chen Yoan more than anyone, but there was just too much at stake. It was better for another to kill him. Leaders who wished Beck-o to refuse the request agreed, and his sons were disappointed at the decision. After everyone returned, Beck-o came to the small building where Chen Jongsum was at. Beck-o sat in front of Chen Jongsum, who was only blinking while lying down. He was almost as good as dead. Beck-o did everything in his power to heal him, but not even the demon doctor himself could do anything. I'm sorry. Gramps has nothing I can do to help you. The symbol of terror himself was still weak for his grandson. He was despaired that he had to care about his clan even when his precious grandson, who was born from his precious daughter, had been thrown into such a state. And did Chen Jongsum know of this? Jongsum's eye turned teary. And it was then. Elder, there is a guest. Guest at this hour? What kind of guest visits at such hour? Let them return. Beko wasn't in a mood to greet a guest. But he had to choose his choice at the telepathic message. It's Lady Mu from the Wise clan. Should we return her? She's at the front of your building. Beko then became surprised. The woman had not visited after the funeral of his daughter Lady Beck. Okay. I will go out. It was not someone he can just refuse because he wasn't in the mood. Beko then walked out of the room. And as Beko opened the door to get out, Jong-sum rolled his eyes to look at his grandfather. And through the door, he saw someone dimly lit below the fire. It was a middle-aged woman with a red veil over her head. Chun Jong-sum, who could barely open and close his eyes, began to shake his eyes, and his body began to tremble. It's her. It's her. It was the woman who had gotten the poison from his mother. He wanted to scream something, but he couldn't even move his tongue and he trembled in anger until he passed out. The next day, the advisor from the Poison Clan visited the office of the chief of Demonic Academy. He had a letter that wrote from Beko himself that had simple sentence. Challenge accepted. The 12th elder, and the leader of Poison Clan Beko had accepted the challenge. It was the morning of the 6th test that was being held in 70 years. Chun Yo-won had woken up for hours prior to the duel and went to the blacksmith. The academy was full of snow because of snow that fell past few days, but the area around blacksmith was wet from snows melted from the heat. The blacksmith that was noisy from hammering all night was now quiet. Yo-won waited outside for about 10 minutes and heard someone inside and walked in. Mesteru. When he walked in, the inside of the blacksmith was hot from the heat from the forge. As Yo-won walked further in, Oh Sunong was working on something very seriously. He was sewing on a white leather carefully, making a leather scabbard. Yo-won could not disturb him, so he quieted himself down and waited until the job was done. And it was after an hour passed. Chapter 127. The 6th Test, Part 4. Finally. Oh Sunong looked at the completed scabbard in a satisfied voice. The white leather had a red engraving that looked very gracious and luxurious. Is it finished? By the blacksmithing god. You surprised me. Oh Sunong almost dropped to the ground at the sudden sound coming from his back. He was able to find his calm after watching Yo-won, who was standing near the entrance of the room. Why didn't you let me know that you were here? Haha. Wait a second. Sunong then walked into the processing room and returned with the completed blade. Oh. Yo-won gasped in astonishment as soon as he saw the blade. The blade was so beautiful. It was glowing with white pearlish color that proved it was the finest of weapon there is. I engraved the name you requested. Toward the hilt of the blade, there was engraving that said, White Dragon Blade. This was to honor the dragon serpent who could not have become a dragon witch. Fitted well with the white blade. As Yo-won grabbed on the handle, he felt it was very nice to grab onto it. The blade also seemed to be very sharp that he can slice anything with it. Here, place the blade up. Sunong then brought up a very thin clothes and dropped it from the air, and when it fell on the blade, the clothes were cut into half. Whoa! It was so sharp that it even cut the thin flappy clothes. How do you like it? I love this. I didn't expect you would create me such a wonderful blade. You are the best blacksmith. Mesteru. Ha 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 ha. Thank you. Chun Yo-won wasn't one to show emotion, but he had spoken every compliments he can. Oh Sunong seemed he was glad. He had created the finest weapon and was acknowledged by its owner, so that was enough. With this blade, my butterfly dance blade will be more powerful than what the teacher can do with his crazy blade. He had become more powerful than his teacher, but it was still good to be praised for his blade skill from the teacher. And with acquiring the white dragon blade, it now completed the black sword white blade, godly weapon combo that symbolized Chun Yo-won in the future. After about an hour, everyone including cadets were now gathering at the training ground of the Demonic Academy. It was to watch the 6th test that have not been held in past 70 years. This was a private duel that didn't require cadets to gather, but there was no martial artist who would not want to see a duel between superior level warriors. Everyone turned to Chun Yo-won, who was waiting up on the training ground with his eyes closed. 6th test. Isn't it amazing? He sure is a monster. How can he become superior level within 4 years? Yeah, but will he able to fight the elder? After Yo-won decided to take the 6th test, everyone now knew that Yo-won was at the level of superior warrior. This changed people's view about Yo-won completely. It was now the look of admiration. But after hearing that 6th test was to fight one of 12 elders, who were the strongest warriors of the cult, people were divided in opinions. Who did he choose to fight? He probably chose one of 6 clans. They are within top 10 ranks. He wouldn't do that if he wasn't a fool. Cadets did not know who Yoan was going to fight yet. They just thought Yoan had chosen the weakest elder to fight, so it will be the 12th elder, as 12th was to be weakest among those elders. And their guess was correct. But of course, they did not know that there had been a change of ranks between elders in recent days. At the training ground, Yoan's members were gathered, waiting with tense looks. They knew who Yoan was going to fight already, so they were worried. Yoan had the leader of Poison Clan, one of the most dangerous warriors within the cult. "Oh, look!" One cadet shouted, and everyone turned to the entrance of the academy. There was one old man with a black robe walking toward them, with a weird staff. He looked very old, but the ominous aura from him proved who he was. A leader of the Poison Clan. Everyone realized it was Beko the Poison Demon and began to mumble in shock. Some guessed Yoan would choose one of the elders from 6 clans, but they didn't expect it to be Beko. It's crazy, it's the Poison Man. Did he really choose a leader from the Poison Clan? There wasn't anyone who did not know about infamous Beko in entire Wulin. He had massacred 300 enemies from the forces of evil with his poison attack, and also poisoned many powerful warriors from forces of justice and evil that didn't even leave their bodies. He was rumored to be most hated to fight against. "Oh, Chief is coming out." "Huh? The person next to is?" Chief Li Hamming then began walking out from the main building. To next of him, there was a middle-aged man with long mustache and hair turned about half into white. It was one of 12th leader, Sama-e of the Samu clan. "It's 10th elder." "Father?" He was 10th elder before, but he was now 9th elder. Sama-chuk looked at him with a glad look. He didn't think to see his father at this fight. Sama-e walked up to the stage and sat down on the prepared seat, and Li Hamming walked up to the front of the stage. When Beko arrived at the middle of the training ground, Yoan opened his eyes. He had seen the man in 3 years and 4 months since the day at the prison cave. He had no way to fight against the man because of difference in absolute power. Poison Clan. It reminded him of his mother, Lady Hua. Anger began to come up, and started a fire in Yoan's heart. But his eyes were calm and cold. He had changed a lot. Beko was quite surprised to see Yoan. He had just entered master level then, but now was at equal superior level. "Ha! But you are still far more to go." Yoan's energy was sure that he was just an entry-level superior warrior. This was enough for Beko to kill him without much effort. "I will kill you before you grow to be more risk." When everyone got ready, Li Hamming shouted, "We will begin the 6th test now. 9th leader will be our witness for this fight." Sama-e got up and bowed at the crowd. In normal circumstances, it needed 4 elders to be witnesses, but they only had 4 elders remaining at the cult, so it was downsized. "First, I thank you for taking Master Chun's request, 12th elder." "Bah." Beko bowed with a frown at Hamming's bow. Beko was not happy as he was put in prison for what happened at the prison cave, when he and Hamming promised to keep it as a secret. Oh, he's angry then. Hamming became grim. If Beko was that much angry, then it might be worse for Yoan who needed to fight him. "I hope you survive. Then we shall start the test. 12th elder, Master Chun. You will look at each other and stand at 12-step distance." As 2 looked at each other and stood, the crowd turned quiet with tense air. Hamming then raised his hand and shouted, "You may begin." At that moment, Beko jumped out like lightning and charged into the front of Yoan. "I will kill you right now." His staff that held Force Chi struck into Yoan's chest. Beko had unleashed all of his power to attack first, to kill Yoan in instant. Already, cadets were shocked to see the fight, as it seemed it will end as soon as it started, and turned to the staff that penetrated through Yoan's chest. That's when Beko's eyes shook. Yoan's body faded away. A mirror image. Chapter 128. The 6th Test, Part 5. Elders of the demonic cult were both leaders of their respective clan and also one of the most powerful warriors of the cult. Unlike everyone's expectation where the elder, as an experienced warrior and senior as a cultist, will allow a first chance for Yoan, the elder Beko charged in with an ambush. "Master. That's an ambush." All of Yoan's members were shocked and surprised. But as the staff that held Force Chi struck into Yoan, his body faded and disappeared. Ah! Mirror image. It was the outcome of one moving so quickly that it left a trace of himself in the spot. It was the result of moving just before being struck, so that even the strongest warriors were hard to notice. "He used mirror image against me." Beko then calmly twisted the staff and unleashed defensive formation toward his back. Chun Yoan then appeared from back of Beko and took 5 steps back to avoid defensive formation. "He's quick." Beko was not like any other enemy Yoan had fought until now. With over hundreds of experience at fighting enemies, Beko knew that Yoan will come for his back where it was open, and his expectation was right. By the gods, he really is a superior level. Every cadet and instructor was astonished to see this. No one around had sensed Chun Yoan's mirror image. They just saw Yoan disappeared and reappeared at the back of Beko. The only one who saw Chun Yoan was Li Hamming and Sama Yi, the ninth elder. How can it be? Li Hamming was shocked at Chun Yoan's walking skill. If he wasn't wrong, then Yoan's movement was exactly like that of the great guardian Marakim. Marakim's walking skill was so powerful that no one could catch up to him, and gave his skill the nickname of Wind God. Was there a book for the great guardian's walking skill on the 5th floor? Hamming's guess was right. Chun Yoan's walking skill was from the skill book, Step of the Wind God. But Yoan did not know who did this skill belong to. It's quite useful. He wasn't sure if it wasn't that useful when he first learned it, but since Beko couldn't catch up to it, then it was surely a powerful skill. Beko then quickly analyzed on how to fight Yoan. If he's fast, I'll make him slow down. Beko quickly swung his staff toward Yoan's leg. Then the energy jumped out from the staff and shoot out at Yoan's leg. Energy bullet? Energy bullet. It was possible for superior level warriors to throw force chi that had gathered up on the weapon to throw it like a bullet. As Yoan jumped up, the energy bullet struck into the training ground, leaving explosive sound as dust kicked up. Beko then jumped through the dust and unleashed the 5th formation of the destructive poison art. He was after Yoan's leg. Is he trying to seal my movement? Yoan then reached out at the white blade's handle. As he pulled up, the white blade revealed itself. Beko, who have not heard or seen such a white and narrow blade, scoffed. Do you think you can block my cold steel staff with such blade? Beko's weird-looking staff was made out of cold steel that it was very durable. It also wielded force chi, that its power was enough to destroy a hard rock. Yoan's blade spun, and Yoan unleashed the 2nd formation of the butterfly blade. Dance. With 2 formations wielding force chi collided, an explosive sound rang out from it. Ugh. And my ears. Cadets who had not reached the Grandmaster level were too weak at painful energy wielded sound coming through their ears. 2 of them then pushed out against each other and distanced themselves. What is that blade? Beko looked at Yoan's white dragon blade with shock. The fight against formation was equal, but the blade had made much damage over Beko's cold steel staff. The blade, however, was unscarred. Who gave him such a precious blade? It was very weird. Even if Yoan had gotten up to superior level, he should have lacked experience in a real fight, but he was reacting it well as if he had fought over hundreds of battles. And what didn't make sense the most was his internal energy. Is he really entrance level of the superior? His energy looked like the entry level, but the energy wielded in every of his blade attack did not fall behind Beko's own energy. Beko was already using 100% of his energy from the beginning. He knew that even if the enemy was weak, he always had to try his best to not lose, as any mistake can lead to his death. Did he hide his power then? After a few exchanges, Beko was able to see through that Yoan was hiding his real power. If that was to be possible, then it required one to be at least equal to or more powerful than himself. Beko's eye turned serious. He didn't do his best against me? He really is a monster. It was now understandable why Chun Jongsum, his grandson, couldn't defeat him. He had seen many talented individuals, but never saw one who grew in such speed. He then remembered Lady Mu, who visited him last night. Elder Beck. You must accept the request from the academy. Lady Mu, don't you think you are going out of your boundary? Mu was the wife of the first elder, but she had no authority over other clan leaders or elders. Beko, who wasn't already in a good mood, began to become angry, and Lady Mu offered him something. I know the whereabouts of the Doctor God. Chapter 129. The 6th Test, Part 6. What? Dr. God. The best doctor in the world, who earned the nickname of a god. He was a legendary doctor who was said to heal anyone unless the one is dead. There were a lot of rumors, but no one knew who or where he was. But everyone was certain of his skill. This was information Beko wanted to know so badly, who wanted to heal his grandson. How can I believe that what you know is true? She then showed Beko an orange tag. It had an engraving of the doctor's sign. My grandfather once received this tag from the Doctor God a long time ago. He told me you can meet him if you bring this tag to a certain place. Lady Mu's grandfather was former Wise clan leader, Mu Jinking. He was the hero of the demonic cult who had made many legendary feats at the war against the world 50 years ago. Beko had to accept her offer, as he had to take any chances. So, do I need to just accept the request? You must kill him. Lady Mu. Others can kill him too. Beko thought that Chun Yoan was merely entry to the superior level, that any elders can kill him as well. But Lady Mu's thought was different. No. The only elder who is left in the cult who can kill him is you, it's because you are. And if I do, what are the consequences? If this becomes a problem, we, the Wise Clan, will help you with any way we can to clear out the issue. As the former lord is already chosen. That's what Beko had talked about with Lady Mu. She said that Beko was the only elder who could kill Chun Yoan. Wise Clan, how much do they know? It was exactly as she said. Yoan's power was something that no remaining elders can fight. He was now so powerful that no one under the third elder could even think about fighting him, besides from Beko himself. It wasn't sure how Lady Mu knew of Yoan's real power, but it didn't matter. Even with his grandson problem aside, if Yoan wasn't to be killed here, then 6 clans were going to have the worst enemy there is. I have to kill him right here. Beko, who decided to kill Yoan, began to shine in the purple poisonous aura, which then spread among the air. With the poisonous cloud moving through the sand beneath the training ground turned black. Li Hamming and Sama Yi got shocked and got up immediately. How can you release the poison? Elder Beck. What are you thinking? Even Sama Yi, who was here as a witness, was too shocked. Beko's main weapon was poison, but he didn't use it unless he was going to fight to kill. His poison was so dangerous that he was a walking poison bomb and was nicknamed Poison Man. Aside from his power of martial art, his ability to spread hundreds of poisons allowed him to kill anyone if he wanted. Is he trying to kill the challenger? Sama Yi was concerned that the challenger appointed Poison Clan at the beginning. He thought Beko will not go so far, but this was going to be a battle for life. Chun Yoan. Li Hamming closed his eyes, as what he worried had come to reality. He hoped Beck will not go so far, as he was locked up in prison for years and had his clan weakened, but that hope had failed. It's terrible poison. Yoan eyed coldly at the poison coming out of Beko. He expected the poison, but this much was sure that Beko was trying to kill him. Hua. As Beko let out his breath, purple steam came out. He had raised the poison stage up to 7. Is that blood? How can you defeat such a monster? Maybe he will die. With purple cloud filling the area, cadets and instructors got farther away, out of reach from the poison, and looked at Chun Yoan with a concerned look. The poison was so large that it will swallow Yoan at once. Master. Prince. Chun Yoan's members, who had strong trust toward their master, also wished Yoan will surrender. It seemed like Yoan will die from being poisoned before passing the 6th test. But Yoan was glaring at Beko without even a flinch. Arrogant fool. I will not even leave your body. Beko was ready to unleash poisonous attack, charged at Yoan. Purple poison was coming out of his body as he charged in. Beko swung his staff, and gas cloud that was mixed with hundreds of poison stormed up and onto Yoan. As the poison shoot through, it turned the ground into black and burned up black smoke. And no. How can that be? All places that poison touched went dark, as it was burnt. Everyone frowned and looked away. That poison was enough to burn anyone, even to its bones. You brought his upon yourself, fool. There was no one who had survived against his poison attack until now. Beko was sure that he had won and tried to put down his poison. That's when a blue energy bullet shot through the poison gas and at Beko's neck. What? Beko brought up the cold steel staff with wielding force chi to defend. But this wasn't the end. Chun Yoan had got up to him already. Beko had to strike back, but he was so shocked at what happened in front of him. Chun Yoan's skins that was burned down from poison was healing up at tremendous speed. The sight of veins and muscles squirming to heal up was even grotesque. What are you? It gave him chills to the bones as he looked at Yoan's eyes. Beko had felt fear for the first time of his life. It's my turn now. What AAARGH? With Yoan's powerful strike striking into Beko, whose body was thrown out and across the training ground and stopped at about halfway in. Chapter 130. The 6th Test, Part 7. Yoan's members despaired at the thick cloud of poisonous gas that corrupted all surfaces it touched to blackness. This poison was sure to melt Yoan to his bones. Master! Hu Bong screamed in shock, and Mun Ku looked down with her teary eyes as she couldn't bear to see it. Why did you have to fight the Poison Clan? She felt she could not hold tears back if she watched longer. It was then. Huh? They saw someone being thrown way to the back within the fading purple gas cloud, about halfway back of the training ground. It was so powerful that the figure struck on the ground multiple times while being thrown back, creating large crater each time. Everyone then turned to the person inside the crater. It was Beko, the leader of the Poison Clan. What? Wait. And through the poison cloud, Chun Yoan walked out from it and all cadets roared in excitement. Wah-iya. Everyone had thought Yoan was dead, but they were shocked to see him alive. Aside from his clothes being in rags due to poisonous gas, he didn't seem to have any wounds or injury from the poison. How did he endure Elder Beck's poison? Sama-e, the ninth elder and left guardian Li Hamming were also shocked to see Yoan unharmed. They too had figured Yoan would have died. From the past 20 years of war against other forces of Yulin, they have seen Beko's poison attack multiple times. It was so powerful that it brought massacre to every place the poison filled. I can't believe it. And while everyone was shocked, Yoan checked on himself. Entire poison was already extracted out of his body completely. Phew. When the poison unleashed upon him, Yoan for the first time used the energy barrier around himself. Even if Nano could heal him, there was nothing he could do if the poison melted him away entirely so fast. But Beko's poison was so powerful that it penetrated through his energy barrier and began to melt his skins. It was a terrifying poison that might have killed him if it wasn't for Nano that blocked poison and healed his skins. And there was one thing Yoan learned. It was the power of White Dragon Blade. I didn't think it can push out poison. When Yoan sent energy into his White Dragon Blade to attack Beko, the poisonous gas around him was pushed out with the pure energy that gushed out from White Dragon Blade. He just thought it was a durable weapon, but it had more power held within it. Ugh. Beko barely got up. He also used an energy shield when he was struck, but it still crushed his ribs. If it was just a regular attack with energy, it might have been less damaging, but Yoan's physical power was just too great also. What is this? What is he? But he couldn't believe the regeneration more than anything. It was something he had never seen and it was hard to consider it a human regeneration. Are you up now? What? Beko then flinched at Yoan's voice suddenly coming from the front and threw his hand that wielded purple poisonous energy. Yoan blocked it with the blade of his White Dragon Blade. The pure energy pushed Beko's poison away, making Beko's eye to become wide with shock. So, this was what made him endure it. Beko figured he had found the reason and quickly jumped back. But Yoan unleashed the last formation of Butterfly Dance Blade while wielding blue force chi upon his blade and charged at Beko. Submang? This was a powerful attack that did not fall behind attack made from Right Guardian Submang. Beko bit on his lips as this attack was beyond something he can defend with his bare hand. You give me no choice. At that moment, Beko's skin turned into an ominous dark blue color as the blade struck against him. Multiple strikes came down upon Beko, but the blade was thrown back with the sound of metal clashing. Yoan became surprised. The blade pushed out the dark blue poisonous energy, but it began to burn down Yoan's skins, removing toxic poison coming into the body and healing the injury. Nano rang through his head and the skin began to heal. Yoan then quickly swung his White Dragon Blade to form a defensive barrier with it. Hi-ya! Beko then shouted and charged, pushing Yoan way back about 10 steps. Yoan then pulled himself up and glared at Beko. The poison Beko used while ago wasn't his best. It was as if Beko himself had turned into the poison now. Poisonman? Li Hamming became grim. Elder Beck, so you really want to see this through? The dark blue skin of Beko's state proved that he was in a poison man state. It was the last stage of his poison art that made his entire body as a poison. It made his skin harden like a shield and made him unleash a powerful poison that could even melt rocks. Even the Lord himself will not be easy to stop him now. Hamming knew that Poison Man was dangerous, but he didn't think it was this terrifying. There was no one in this demonic academy who can fight Beko now. All sands began to rise up with the energy coming out from the poison. Area around Beko was now melting from such powerful poison. I didn't think you would make me to bring me into this. Try to block this with your blade. As Beko took steps to walk, a dark cloud came up each time as his foot touched the ground. It was so poisonous that even those who were watching far away outside the training ground made them choke. This state required Beko to use the poison stored within him, so he didn't like using it, but this seemed like the only way to kill Chun Yoan now.